I made the dumbest decision. I still am like, what was I thinking? Do you go over your year with your kids individually and say, okay, here's what we've accomplished throughout the year? And maybe not so much with when they're younger, you don't need to do that. But with your older kids, do you do that? And then kind of do they help look forward to what needs to be done the next year?
Yeah, especially with not necessarily with my younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did just have a conversation with my fourth grader about history for next year, which was really fun. But no, for my high schoolers, for sure, because, I do kind of like to start talking with them about what their skills are early on.
Mm-hmm.
In Minnesota, we have the option of PSEO. So that is just basically college credits through a college that you can take for free. I'm sure they have that in other states as well. And, so we kind of can look at some of those things like, okay, what are we doing next year? Are we going to sign up for any co-op classes? Does that make sense with kind of what you need? Here's your transcript. There might be some holes here or here. So next year, maybe we should do a foreign language, or maybe next year we need another science, or you might be a little light on math. And so they know that I'm not just arbitrarily choosing things for them to do, and they're kind of involved in it too. And then I think it gives them a little bit more ownership, and they're like, okay, I did see my transcript. I do see that I need this. And so it just gives them some accountability with their own education too.
Sure. And then they can look back and say, oh, here's what I accomplished, and feel accomplished in those areas, which I think is really good for them and encourages them through the next year. And I like that you think through like what the next year is going to look like. This year of all year, I made the dumbest decision. I still am like, what was I thinking? So at the end of last school year, I signed both of my girls up for co-ops for this past year, which is great. I love these co-ops. I mean, wonderful families, they both took some different, just a la carte classes, but I didn't think very clearly through the schedule. I kind of did them in haste. Because we were getting ready to go on a summer trip. We were going on a big, road trip to promote the movie. And it was just kind of crazy. And so I just signed them up for all these classes. And then the school year came and I was like, oh no. We then had co-op Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it just completely wiped out our whole week. I mean, it's been a really crazy year for us. And so we've been counting down the days, when is it going to be over? When is it going to be over? And again, not because they're not wonderful co-ops and with wonderful people. It's just because I completely overwhelmed myself and my girls, but we had already committed to doing these classes. And so, yeah, it is really good to really pray through. It's so funny. I'm like, do as I say, not as I do. Because we talk about these things on the podcast all the time. I know better than that. And honestly, I didn't really even pray through it. I just kind of did what seemed like the right thing to do. And it really has cost us a lot of time this year. And while it's been good and they've taken some wonderful classes, like my oldest daughter has she took a creation science class this year. And it was an amazing class taught by a wonderful, godly man who she's like, I will always, I will never be convinced and, that we evolved from anything. And so while it's been good things, it really has, been very hard for our homeschooling this past year. So yeah, it's good to think through those things and pray with your kids, pray through the whole process of what the next year will look like and involve them in that. I think that's so important. Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.